this episode we will explore Isla Isabel, also called the Galapagos of Mexico.
Learn about its nesting seabirds,
The work of the biologists on the island,
witness an emergency rescue,
and enjoy the underwater world. We are leaving Mazatlan and sailing southwest along the Mexican Pacific coast to Isla Isabel.
Isla Isabel is a small volcanic island about 90 nautical miles south of Mazatlan. It's one of the main nesting sites for several species of seabirds.
The fishing is good along the way and we catch ourselves a delicious dinner.
We arrive in the late evening, just in time for an impressive show put on by a pod of humpback whales.
The wind is blowing from the west, so we anchor on a small sandy patch near two large rocks called the Monas, on the east side of the island, in calm waters.
The next morning, we take our dinghy to shore and start exploring the island.
As soon as we step foot on the beach, we are greeted by a pair of blue-footed boobies, and notice the birds are everywhere.
We walk down the beach, try not to disturb the birds, and meet two biologists working on the island, Cesar and Patricia.
Yeah, we are part of the research team for the blue-footed booby.
Oh, cool.
Oh, okay.
And we are here working.
Yeah. And you stay here for like a week or 2 weeks?
2 months.
2 months?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We are about to finish the first month next week. So.
Yeah.
Oh, that must be wonderful.
They invite us to their camp and show us around on the island.
We are amazed by the countless iguanas inhabiting their camp, and we soon learn that they are observing all of our movements and are ready to spring into action whenever a tiny food scrap falls off the table.
The iguanas have even learned how to open boxes used for food storage. That's why the boxes are now elevated and covered with rocks to hold down the lids.
The biologists explain that they check, record, and number each blue-footed booby nest on the island.
The nest has its own number. No number can be repeated in the. So we have to go through this, and now we are by the 1,000.
Oh, but that's like only for this year?
Yeah.
Wow.
Here you can see the red marker behind the chick. This is nest number 138.
We learned how to differentiate male and female blue-footed boobies.
You can see the eye and you can see if it's a female or male.
Oh, they're cool.
So I missed it. The male has a smaller pupil?
Yeah.
The male is smaller.
And even in his way.
The male used to be lighter than the female, which is larger and heavier.
The female is bigger than the male.
And get a demo on how to check the eggs in a nest.
So with this little stick we handle the bird and
Yeah.
we can raise him from the.
And the bird is fine?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
That's the male. That's the one.
Oh, that's the male sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like a whistling, like a not very good whistling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have some sick birds and they have like the flu and
Oh, really?
you can raise him and you see the number of
Oh, you can see the eggs. Oh, I see.
You can see the number. This has 3.
3 eggs. Yeah.
And the ring is on the left foot, you can see.
Oh, yeah.
It has the number and the leather.
But he doesn't fly away after that. He doesn't get mad and decide he wants to leave. He doesn't like to stick.
He doesn't like the stick, apparently. Next, we visit the colony of Sooty terns. Very loud and noisy birds, which recently invaded a portion of the blue-footed boobies' nesting grounds.
Oh yeah.
And it gets lost if you go.
Cesar, Patricia, and a couple other camp members take us on a walk across the island.
We come across the seasonal fishing village on the otherwise uninhabited island. And stop for a quick chat with the fishermen.
We continue on to a large colony of magnificent frigatebirds. Males with their bright red throat pouch inflated like balloons are conspicuous everywhere. They are proudly displaying the red pouch as a courtship ritual to attract females.
There are also many chicks with matted white feathers, making them look like they just woke up, which they may have. Patricia and Cesar tell us the adults feed and care for the chicks for up to an entire year.
Again, the chicks are not shy at all, but rather curious at what you are doing. And the adults even sun themselves and stretch out on the ground. The seabirds, and apparently also the iguanas, have no natural enemies on this island, and so humans can get quite close to them. That's the reason why Isla Isabel is also known as the Galapagos of Mexico.
A perfect photo opportunity.
You approach them.
But don't get too close.
They try to bite you.
They already learned that instinct.
We climb up the lighthouse for a spectacular view of the island.
The large building in the foreground is a never-completed research station, part of the illustrious history of the island.
It began in 1975 when Jacques Cousteau produced the adventure documentary The Seabirds of Isabela.
Calypso's flying arm, a PBY refitted for diving operations, nears Isla Isabela, 21 miles off the western coast of Mexico. Captain Cousteau plans a preliminary investigation of the island. He has long sought a single location where he might study a wide variety of seabirds interacting in a mixed community.
This documentary seems to be the origin of the misnomer Isabela, since the island is and always has been named Isla Isabel, not Isabela, as everyone we meet on the island assures us.
Cousteau popularized the bird life on the island through his documentary, and in 1980, Isla Isabel was declared a national park. In 2003, it was designated a Ramsar site, which is a wetland of international importance. And in 2005, it was listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
At some point in this process, the research station was built, but never completed.
They hadn't enough money for finishing it.
Nowadays, it's only used for storage by fishermen and occupied by iguanas.
We cross another blue-footed booby nesting site.
That is so cute. Sorry, I'm not gonna plug you anymore.
Yeah, one is begging for food.
Sorry, you have such pretty blue feet. And eventually reached the brown-footed boobies' nest.
Female. I have the male with the chick.
On the way back, we learn more about the harsh life of frigatebirds. They are amazing acrobats in the air.
But due to their enormous wingspan, they can get easily trapped in the dense forest.
They have to stay at the top of the trees. If they venture lower, their long wings can get tangled in the branches. Most of the time they are unable to free themselves and the birds slowly starve to death. This also means if a chick falls out of its nest onto the forest floor, their parents cannot come to rescue or feed it. The chick is doomed to die.
Wow.
You can't take him home and adopt him and feed him.
I don't think you should do
I'm
that.
going to be here for 1 year.
Later, we find an adult frigatebird, still alive and in good health, but trapped in the trees. The biologists are here to observe and not interfere with the local wildlife, but this bird has a good chance to survive if it could only get free. So after a short discussion, they decide to help.
One, two.
Wow. So why do the frigatebirds choose to fly into a forest that may cause their eventual death? Well, the story starts with the fact that they need sticks to build their nests, a lot of them.
Usually they can find sticks floating in the island's crater lake, or they can steal them from other birds' nests. But if they run short on nesting material, the frigates become tempted to try their luck in the forest, and that can end badly.
After our hike, we decide to cool off in the ocean and snorkel to one of the two large nearby rocks, called the Monas, or the monkey rocks. And we discover that the rich wildlife on the island extends to the underwater world as well. We are especially amazed by a school of spotted eagle rays.
We hang out with our new friends until it's time to sail on.
Join us next time when we sail further south,
Anchor near Sound Blas,
explore the town,
and venture deep into the jungle.
to find crocodiles.
And the sweet little love song is coming through the air, by the mountains and everywhere. A sweet little love song is singing to you.